Hey, how's it going, chat? Welcome back. We are doing our first Eclipse stream. So if you're here or if you're watching the replay, we are going to cover the NASA stream for the solar annual eclipse for this year, 2023. So those who are here, welcome. Those who are watching later, I hope you enjoy it. And look at the timer. The NASA coverage is going to start in like 20-something minutes, so we can hang out a little bit beforehand. Hopefully everyone's having a great Saturday. Hopefully it's off to a great start. I should probably also get my chat box up. I don't know why I didn't have that up. You would think I would know this by now. Hey, what's up, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Going pretty good, Sipcon. How about you, buddy? All right, chat box is coming in. Put that black box on there. Well, it's not going to be that dark. This is the annular eclipse, meaning that it's going to leave a little ring of the sun around the outer edge of the moon. So it won't be fully dark, but it'll be a little bit dimmer. Are any of y'all watching it outside in person as well, or are you watching it here because you're not in the path? Hey, what's up, Theo? Actually, that black rectangle doesn't look as good as it could. Let's just raise this up a little bit more. The only thing I have to figure out is how to make the actual video look good without having to take up my entire screen. I'm sorry to hear that, Sipcon. That's partially why I did this stream, though. I know there'd be some of y'all who wouldn't be able to see it. I'm technically a little bit off the path, but I want to be able to, you know, kind of hang out with you guys in the middle of it as well. I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you. My Russian isn't so good, but I think you might be saying it's going to be 6:19 p.m. your time. I don't know if you can understand English. See, now I wish I had done more of the Russian lessons in Duolingo. Although watch that not be Russian, watch that be Ukrainian or something. All right, we go check the coverage just to make sure it's not up. Oh, you saw it from a ship in the Indian Ocean? Yeah, there'd be a lot less light pollution out in the ocean. Man, I bet that looked really cool too. Was that solar or lunar eclipse? Well, I guess if it's a lunar eclipse, you wouldn't really see too much of it. Actually, no, the red would be really good in the night. 1986. Wow. I thought you were like my age or younger. Why time? I'm not sure what you're trying to ask, Tessin. I just assumed it was like a time because it looked like it was, you know, the 24-hour military time. Actually, since they're not up yet, this is a good time to test out how this is going to work. But before I do that, oh, you are Russian. Okay, so my guess was correct. I assume you're here on a VPN. Nick asks, who here believes in UFOs? So unidentified flying objects, yes. I really think that they're ours. I think that's what it is, because like, I can't imagine, you know, some. I think I mentioned this in the video before. I can't imagine some alien species coming from across the known galaxy or the known universe, which we can see. We haven't been able to see any like space junk, any vehicles that we know of, or at least that we've heard of so far. They managed to make it all the way here from outside of the viewable range of the universe without being detected, and then all of a sudden they crash. No, thank you. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think it's our vehicles that we've been experimenting with, and it looks like something so advanced that they would say that it's alien. But that's just my theory. All right, let's see. I think it's in just chatting. Okay. So now let's see if I do this. Oh, so it just takes over the whole screen. All right, that's not what I was hoping to do. All right, so I may have to just do like a display capture. Y'all might have to see kind of the inner sanctum over here. Oh, this is window capture as well, isn't it? Here, let's... let's try this. Okay. So now I wonder if I do this, will it work? Okay, that's a lot better. All right. So apparently that's going to be how we actually watch the coverage. So I guess for right now we'll just do just chatting. Actually, we'll just do this one. It's a little bit cleaner to look at this, just the footage here. Oh, that's cool, Nick. I didn't know there were that many different reports on it. I've heard of people saying that they've seen stuff in the military they weren't allowed to talk about. I expect some of those were things like UFOs or potential alien spacecraft. But I've also heard, this might get me in trouble on YouTube. I've also heard of this one story from someone called, like, they saw like a giant or something in the land of Kandahar. I'm not really sure if that's real, but I've heard it before. I don't know. It seems like it would be really cool if there was like still giants in the world in this day and age. All right, so we are 12 minutes out from the NASA coverage starting. I don't think we're going to have their sound on. It's going to be just like us, but we're going to be able to look at what they look at. I think they're doing like some interviews and stuff too, so we'll be able to just kind of hang out until the actual eclipse starts. Nick says, unfortunately, the UK forces don't allow their people to tell their stories, as you're normally ordered to forget what you've seen and heard. Man, that sucks. Apparently, that's a kind of a similar thing with the American military. I've never actually served in the American military, but I know a lot of people who have. I kind of hear a lot of the similar things where it's like, I've seen stuff, but I can't tell you. Or I've seen stuff, but I know I haven't. That's kind of like the common inside joke. It's like, if you think you see something, you haven't. That's like their motto now. Man, I hope one day that like space travel recreationally can be a thing. I don't know that we have enough time left in the Earth to do that, but it'd be really cool if we could. Because like I'm looking at all these things I would love to go and see. I don't know that I want to park too close at this black hole here, but would love to see all these other things like the nebulas and quasars and stuff. And imagine just going and taking a vacation over on like Venus or Mars or something. I wonder if I could do like some other NASA stream in the meantime. We've seen green lights flying under the ocean. Nick believes they have bases down there, but a lot deeper than so far can't get to them, and some are huge, can't explain it any other way. See, that's what I think what's going on in Antarctica. I really think it's what's going on in Antarctica. Like, everyone kind of collectively agreed not to touch Antarctica. No one's tried to seize it. No one's tried to invade it. Nothing. No one's kind of laying their flag down and saying this is our territory. But everyone's got a base over there, right? Like everyone, Earth-wise, all the people have some kind of a base over there. And it makes me wonder, is there something we don't know, right? Is it like a collective testing ground for new technology they don't want the rest of us to know? I suppose it makes sense, but... All right, we're about 7 minutes out. And by 7 minutes out, I mean 7 minutes to the actual official NASA stream. Wonder if my remote Streamlabs will actually start working. Nope. So I used to have like a little remote from Streamlabs I could use, almost like a Stream Deck, but for some reason it just stopped working. Nick says there's elements in the South Pole we can't yet explain. I love this subject. Me too. I've heard all kinds of stuff, like there's technology over there that we can't understand, or the technology over there that we would only think of as alien in nature, which would make more sense because, like I said, like how can an alien species have the technology to cross, you know, over 20 billion light years of space without being detected, and then all of a sudden they crash and there's a dead body, or there's quote unquote non-human biologics? I'm not buying it. So it's either our own tech that they're trying to say is alien so we don't get any ideas, or maybe my other theory might be correct. Not only my theory, it's other people's theories, but it might be correct. Who knows? I suspect there's a lot of things we're not going to know for sure until the next life. Now, for those watching, the cool part about the NASA stream, if I'm correct, they're actually going to use an observatory telescope with a filter on it. So you'll be able to watch it probably in one of the best views you're going to get. But you know what, Nick, you got me wondering now. It's like there's so many things that the military finds by accident doing something else that they can't talk about. I wonder if somebody found the Garden of Eden. I can't help but think about that, man. Like, what if somebody found that and they're not even allowed to say it because they ran into like the cherubim or something like that, right? But the military says they're not allowed to say it because for whatever reason. Usually it's something to do with retaining power. We are 4 minutes out. NASA stream's going to start in 4 minutes, a little less now. Yo, what's up, Mr. Dudington? How you doing? Oh, it's Inko, dude. What's up, man? I've been all right. Been trying to kind of get in the groove of the new topic of the channel. Are you all still playing Destiny? I don't know how many of y'all are from the gaming days, but I assume some of y'all are still playing. Nick says, for me, I think Atlantis is an underwater moving city. My brain hurts trying to think how. I wonder if it... Well, okay, so there's there's two different theories I've heard of. There was one where people say that, like, it was somewhere in the Sahara, because there's, like, these big circles in the Sahara where it looks like there was some civilization that had water and it dried out. And then there's another that may have said that it may have been, like, a pre-flood civilization or something like that. So I guess we won't really know for sure. But, man, I love to, like, dig into those kind of things. Because, like, what if we could actually find that kind of stuff? I mean, we're probably not going to find, like, a trident down there that we can use to, like, talk to fish and stuff. But, you know, might be some cool civilizations, cool technology. Oh, here we go. They are getting started, so let's go ahead and switch on over. Remember, sound is going to be off in just the interest of not getting copyrighted. Where did I have that? There we go. So this is technically live. All right, so Inko says, started playing Fantasy Star Online 2, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Attack on Titan 2, and a few more games. A lot of 2s. Man, it feels like so long ago that I used to actually like have time to play games. Like, I haven't even touched Destiny in a year almost. It's weird to think about it. And then from what I heard, like, I got out right before it just turned into whatever people were hating. Oh, for those that don't know, this eclipse will also be followed up next year by a total eclipse. That total solar eclipse is going to be mostly like a Texas and then eastward trajectory, but it will be visible next year. Total eclipse, though. So you get that actual clean darkness for a couple of seconds. Nick says, if you look at the Mayan culture and the fact that medicine was over 100 years advanced in its time and the engineering the same. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look into there. Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incans, they had a lot of technology that we still haven't fully understood since then. The Egyptians too. People keep talking about how they could have made those pyramids so fast, considering that today it would take us much longer. But I think they underestimate the power of having a ton of slaves to do the work. Like, and I guess they had that. People figured out that they had that thing where you can do what's like a quantum locking or something like that, where you make something float and you can move it in the air. Now I don't know if they did that, but I mean that could have been a thing. See, I almost kind of wish that I had kept the sound on. Here, let me actually fix that. We'll leave the sound on a little bit, but I'll still have to talk over it some just so I don't get copyrighted.
And I can't believe it's finally here. It's so exciting. And I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better day, folks. It's blue skies.
And we'll just turn it down like this far.
It's incredible. Great. And so today's celestial event will be visible for millions in the Western Hemisphere, with 48 contiguous
Okay, did it actually come back?
and
There we
parts
go.
of Alaska witnessing at least a partial eclipse. Now, some cities like
Oh, apparently it's already getting started in Kerrville, Texas.
of annularity for today's events. So, Gina, can you break down what that means and what somebody in this path can expect? Sure, Tahira.
Man, I don't know why. When I was about to make the stream, I actually sat there and thought that it was going to be like a whole process for each section, and then I would have time between the Oregon part when it hits totality and now, or I guess when it gets to Texas. Turns out that wasn't the case. It's just all visible at one time.
That is going to be incredible to witness in person. And folks, the eclipse has already begun sweeping across the United States. First starting in Oregon at 9:13 a.m. Pacific and ending in Texas at 12:03 Central. From there, it will continue its path through Central and South America. Now keep an eye on the telescope feed in the box on your
You know, it just hit me. If you're anywhere near like San Antonio, you get a good view of today's eclipse, and you also get a good view of next year's eclipse.
viewing experience I can have in my city. Sure. So
Yeah, actually, we'll go ahead and just mute them for right now. But yeah, we're starting to see the beginning of the eclipse. It's not quite totality, but we're getting close to it. Oh, sorry, annularity. I just saw the thing on top. So is anyone here seeing their first solar eclipse of any kind? Or first eclipse at all?
United States, and then following the action as it sweeps across Central and South America. We have a lot of exciting things planned for you throughout the show. You're going to see what it's like inside a hot air balloon at the world's largest balloon festival. We'll then check in with astronauts aboard the International Space Station. You'll hear from a very special guest about eclipse safety, and then learn all the ways you can participate in next year's total solar eclipse. This is going to be the last time a total solar eclipse passes across the mainland U.S. for 2 decades. Now, you can interact with our experts in today's show by sending in questions using the hashtag AskNASA on social media, or by dropping them directly into the comment stream wherever you're watching. Now, today we are here for an annular solar eclipse.
Oh, it's your first eclipse. Well, welcome.
There is actually a difference between an
First eclipse of any kind, or just first solar eclipse?
Now, imagine the sun is having a spotlight show in the sky. In a total solar eclipse, the moon moves right in front of the sun and covers it up like a big curtain, making everything dark for a little bit. It's similar to what you would see at dusk or dawn. Now, because the moon is completely blocking the light from the sun, we're able to see the sun's corona.
Oh, in general. Well, I'm glad we could be here for your first time.
Annular solar eclipse like today, the moon
It's a really cool event. I like how rare it is. Like, they only happen every so often.
When you look up at the sky, you're going to see the sun with a glowing ring around the moon. Because of this,
I think you would love a lunar eclipse, though. The blood moon, it's so good.
As you can see on your screen right now, it is going to be a really, really cool and unusual sight. Now, a word of caution, though. Because the sun is never completely covered during an annular eclipse, it is important to always wear your eclipse safety glasses anytime you look at the sun. Now, both types of eclipses are amazing shows, just with different perspectives. So today we're going to be bringing you views of the annular.
Yeah, it's also very important. I went ahead and got myself some glasses before I realized I was going to be streaming this. But the next one, when it's total eclipse, that one I'm going outside. Apparently the total eclipses, solar eclipses, are a little bit more rare than an annular eclipse.
Which you'll hear about later today. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gina.
Partner tried to wait me for a blood moon. Dude, the blood moons are so cool. If you get another chance before the end comes, I guess, then definitely go and look at that. I don't know when the next one's going to be, though. I'm sure someone's got like times and dates on a website somewhere. Cool part is it's not like something that happens without you knowing it. Like they can measure and predict when it's going to happen because of the way the rotations work. Every 10 years and a lunar every 50. I don't know about every 100 because we've had like 3 or 4 since I became an adult, and I mean that was like I want to say 2009, 2010 when I first saw my first blood moon. It might be that often when it's directly visible overhead, but even then, like I've already seen 2 or 3 of them just in my own adulthood.
All of today's events using this interactive tool we've developed called our Eclipse Explorer. If you want to play around with this, go to go.nasa.gov.
So unless we're living in unprecedented times, I would say this is probably not the frequency.
Exactly what the eclipse is going to look like in your neck of the woods. You can see this path that it's going to be taking all the way down to us in Kerrville, Texas, starting out in the Pacific Northwest. But even if you're outside of that area of influence, say for example you're watching today's broadcast live from Milwaukee, you'll get a great view of a partial eclipse. And these little icons that you see here, these little googly eyes, if you will, they're actually clickable. So if I go to Eugene, they're supposed to have peak annularity beginning at around 9:17 a.m. Pacific. If I click on this little googly eye, it'll snap right to that time, and you can preview exactly where it's going to be. So you still have plenty of time to start getting up to speed with exactly what this annular eclipse or partial eclipse is going to look like in your neck of the woods. So I certainly encourage you to play around with this tool. And if we go to our real-time view of it now, you can see that a partial eclipse is already impacting a very large portion of the United States, stretching all the way out to as far as Nashville. And so very excited for our moment in this partially eclipsed sun here in Kerrville, Texas. We're expecting that to begin at around 11:50 a.m. local. I'm going to continue to track the movement of this annular eclipse across the U.S. But for now, back to you, Tahira.
Thank you so much, James. So excited to see that first instant of the Ring of Fire effect soon. Now, Gina and I are joined with Leslie Garrison. Hi, Leslie. Who is going to show us how to make a pinhole viewer to observe today's events if you do not have your eclipse glasses. Yes. So, Leslie, I see you've got a few different pre-built pinhole viewers with you right now. Can you first just walk us through how this even works?
Yes, absolutely. So, to safely view the sun today, we brought a couple of items. We have a colander, a pinhole, a peg hole.
Did they mute her? Oh, I muted myself.
Make sure to never look at the sun directly, but number two, make sure when you are making and creating and using.
Dude, why did it automatically do that? What the?
Yeah,
Put a shadow on the ground.
absolutely. And so on the
Like, I'll just move my mouse and it'll all of a sudden just move the volume bar all the way to 0.
And the light is going to go directly through it. Peg hole, the colander, and the NASA 3D printed model already has a hole. All you have to do is wait for the eclipse to happen and see the view of the sun on a surface area.
That's great. So Leslie, can you go over those materials just one more time?
Absolutely. So
You know, I just noticed they actually cover all the company logos on their laptops and tablets with the NASA sticker.
Toy box and a sheet of cardstock and a hole punch. But NASA has a cool event online. You can see our URL somewhere on our screen, and you can go online and make these items at home to use.
So really, you just need something with a hole.
You need
that
something
you can
with a hole.
Yeah.
The sun's light can shine through, so on the surface area, and you can see the eclipse on that surface area.
Simple,
Great.
effective.
Yeah.
Leslie, thank you so much for your help today.
Leslie.
And folks, this is a good time to remind everybody that it is dangerous to look directly at the sun without specialized eye protection for solar viewing during today's events. Now, we have a very special guest that you might recognize popping in to share some important tips to make sure that you stay safe during an annular eclipse.
Hi, eclipse enthusiasts. Lance Bass here, and I want to tell you how to
Yeah, okay, we're going to go ahead and turn that down.
during a solar eclipse. During these celestial events, the sun, earth, and moon are in sync, creating solar eclipses. During an annular eclipse, it's not the moment for a sun staring contest. Grab those eclipse glasses and shade your eyes from the ring of fire. What you'll witness is a true cosmic marvel. The moon will move between the sun and the earth, but the moon is a bit too far away from earth to completely cover.
Wait, are they using Storyblocks footage?
Look up at the sky during this annular eclipse, you'll see the sun creating a glowing ring around the moon. Because the sun is never completely blocked, it is never safe to look directly at an annular eclipse without special eye protection for solar viewing. This I promise you. You should wear eclipse glasses so that you don't say bye to your vision. Seriously. And eclipse glasses are not the same as regular sunglasses.
You know, it just hit me. I could have been at Kerrville actually streaming from inside the place.
Specific certification that you should look for right here. Don't be a space cowboy and try to look directly at the sun. If you don't have eclipse glasses, you can use an indirect viewing method, like a pinhole projector. You can make one of these with something as simple as an index card with a hole, or a colander, or even your hands. With the sun at your back, you can safely project an image of the sun through the hole onto a nearby surface.
Yeah, take it from me, the pinhole viewer is not such a fun way to look at it. I would rather the telescope or the glasses.
Now, don't forget to be in sync with these safety tips, folks. Seriously, listen to Lance and protect those eyes. We really want everybody to enjoy today's events. Now, let's check in with Joy and Michael in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Joy, Michael, how is the energy over there?
Hi Tara and Gina, the energy in Albuquerque is buzzing. We are so excited for the annular eclipse to pass through New Mexico in just under an hour. I'm joined with one of NASA's eclipse experts, Dr. Michael Kirk. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's an absolute honor and a privilege. I'm so excited to be here today.
So we're currently on the grounds of the Anderson Abruzzo International Balloon Museum in Albuquerque, and behind us the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is also happening. And in fact, a balloon is also about
Oh, so they are going to show all the different views.
which is really, really exciting. So Michael, have you seen an annular eclipse before?
I have seen an annular eclipse in New Mexico back in 2012, but this is a special event here today. With the balloon fiesta going on, there are literally thousands of people behind us, all getting ready for this event. This is one of the most special eclipses I've ever been to.
This will be my first annular eclipse. I'm really excited, and the skies are looking really clear, so I have my fingers crossed that it stays that way. So we have these incredible balloons over the past week, but did you know that NASA...
You know, apparently there was a hybrid eclipse. I think it was either this year or last year that I just totally missed.
Slightly different from hot air balloons. So to learn more, I chatted with Chris Yoder from NASA's Scientific Balloon Program. Hi Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you're part of NASA's balloon program. What is the difference between a NASA scientific balloon versus a regular hot air balloon?
Good question. So hot air balloons are air-filled, and the air is heated.
So has anyone here ever actually been to NASA?
Generally, they float at a couple thousand feet, and they go up and down in a matter of hours. Scientific balloons, on the other hand, are quite different. So our largest balloons can fit a football field inside their equator, and they can fly for much longer. So payload capacity is about 8,000 pounds, several SUVs. The duration can be up to 5 or 6 weeks at a time, and the altitudes can be up to 160,000 feet, about 4 or 5 times the height of a commercial airliner.
Wow.
It's quite a bit different, yeah.
That's incredible. And you launch all over the globe. So you launch from New Mexico in the US, New Zealand, and even McMurdo Station in Antarctica. Why do you launch from all those different places?
In short, we go where the science needs us to go. Some scientists need Northern Hemisphere science for galaxies and star formations. That's why we go to Sweden.
Oh, for those who don't know, they're doing some kind of experiment where they're launching something up toward the moon.
System, so they'll fly from New Mexico to prove their science, or even just collect science at a shorter.
Probably should have read more on it before I started saying it in the broadcast.
Risky, we'll go out to PMRF in Hawaii.
So can you describe to me what launch day is like?
It's an incredible feeling, right? So you see the balloon be released, you hear the rustle of the fabric and the rush of the wind as it stands up. You see the balloon be released from the vehicle and ascend, and it just gives you chills every time you watch it. It's a really great feeling.
That sounds incredible. So how many of these balloon experiments have been sun-focused or eclipse-focused?
So about 8 to 10% of our portfolio is heliophysics missions.
Hey, what's up, Captain Sleep?
Stands out in my mind is one I got to see launch in 2019.
Oh, that okay. Now I see why.
The corona, or the kind of the outer.
That was you this whole time. It showed like your real name for a second there.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks again for having me.
Bro, how you been?
Our balloon program has been around since 1961, so it's no surprise that our balloons are constantly innovating and discovering new science. So let's dive into some of the big science discoveries that have been made with scientific balloons.
High above Earth's surface floats a critical tool in NASA's exploration.
Yeah, I wonder why we haven't been back to the moon, at least not America. I hear, was it India landed, Russia crashed on the moon,
Scientific experiments into near space,
but I don't know why we haven't even tried to go back.
Launched around the globe, these unique NASA missions provide a fast and cost-effective alternative to rockets.
All right, switch to PC. How you liking it?
Our solar system,
Have you gotten used to the way everything moves?
balloon science has led to many important discoveries. For example, astrophysicist John Mather studied heat from the early universe using balloons, which later contributed to his Nobel Prize-winning work confirming the Big Bang theory of an expanding universe. A special type of high-altitude balloon.
Here, I'm actually going to let this be a little bit louder.
For extended periods of time to study the dark matter in distant galaxy clusters. One of these superpressure balloons, called Superbit, captured the Tarantula Nebula 160,000 light-years away. This winter, crews in Antarctica are preparing to launch the Gusto mission. Its infrared telescope will examine the complete life
Laziness?
cycle of a
I don't think
star.
it's laziness though. Like I think we just, I don't know. I think we just had bigger fish to fry. That, or we were like, you know what? All right, we already did it once. We don't need to do it again. It's kind of boring up there.
The busiest week of the year.
I'm so happy to be here with you all.
I wonder if Elon Musk is either A, going to go back to the moon as like a place for a base to launch from there when there's no atmosphere, or maybe he's going to skip over it entirely and go straight to Mars.
By a pilot named Sid Cutter, who had the idea to get a few hot air balloons together. He managed to get 13 together in a mall parking lot, and they expected a handful of people to show up, and hundreds did. And that's when he knew he was really on to something. And 51 years later, there's 100,000 people behind us on the field right now.
My goodness. So the Balloon Museum, it's where you work and it's where we are right now. Could you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the Balloon Museum and the Fiesta itself?
Absolutely. We are very good neighbors. We are here 300.
Man, it only took you a month to learn mouse and keyboard. That's pretty good. The hardest part is just getting used to how sensitive the mouse is.
The 1700s up through today, exploring the history, science, art, and just wonder of ballooning. And if you haven't been to Albuquerque, we invite you all to come back and check out this museum.
And what do you love most about the Fiesta and the museum this week?
New Mexico is such an enchanting place to be. And the smell of roasting green chili in the air, there's nothing like it. There's a reason why Georgia O'Keeffe chose this place as her home. It's because of the open sky and the beautiful landscape, and we get to enjoy so
Nick
much
says,
of
my
that
only
trip
problem with
here.
going to space is we still haven't got to know our own planet yet.
It's like a
That is
spotlight
true.
shining on Albuquerque, and I think it's
I don't know that
really
I don't know if we
something
can
for the
even
whole
go
wide
to
world
all the
see
places
right
on the
now.
planet. I
Today,
mean,
Balloon Fiesta
Mariana
on
Trench
Annular
alone has so much
Eclipse.
pressure
I
that
can't
even
imagine
with
anything
vehicles,
better.
there's a limit to where we can go.
And how do you feel about an annular eclipse falling at the same time as the event this year?
It's just fantastic. I'm so happy to be here with you all, and Mother Nature has provided us the perfect sky today. Looking this direction, I don't see a single cloud. There's a bite out of the sun already, like it's bitten out of an apple. And I just
And, think about it, Captain Sleep. I think you might be right about Elon maybe trying to skip the moon, because imagine trying to launch off the moon and potentially having to worry about ruining the orbit of the moon or something.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson.
Okay, this. I had the earbud in that was listening to the stream as it played on my phone versus also hearing what I'm saying and then also seeing the stream here on my computer. It's a little jarring. But yeah, I could see him worrying about possibly in launching off the moon, maybe pushing it back or forward in its orbit by accident. So he may instead, I don't know. I could see maybe using like a station of some kind as a way to use it like a launch pad.
Research has incredible benefits for
well, Nick, we through satellite imagery have gotten to now see the entire surface of the Earth. So aside from underground caverns and layers, and aside from things under the ocean, we have at least seen the whole surface now. We actually found I think it was the lost city of Z because of satellite imagery. I think it actually may have been Google who found that.
Our economics. It even affects our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. we see its influences reflected throughout our culture as well, in art, music, religion, sports. And when you look up today with your eclipse glasses, I hope you're going to remember all the ways that the sun impacts us. NASA will never stop studying our closest star for the benefit of all of us, terrestrial beings here on planet Earth.
Thank you, Administrator Nelson. So, Michael, we've been getting a lot of questions on social media. Shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, I have a question here from Priyesh Patel on YouTube, and they ask, do events like eclipses occur in a similar pattern geographically?
Oh, absolutely. Geographically.
Cap says, sometimes discovering more about this rock can bring some scary things up. Bro, you have no idea. Have you heard of the story of the Kandahar giant?
So this is called the
It's still considered a rumor, but everyone in the military who's heard of it will tell you that they've been told if you've seen it, you haven't, which is like their way of saying to keep it a secret.
We get these overlapping patterns that are exactly the same over time.
Nick says, yes, but how many new species of plants, animals are there, and one of them could hold the cure for cancer? I mean, Nick, you have to realize that the cure for cancer most likely, actually not even most likely, from what I've heard, it actually has been found. But Big Pharma bought it up and kept it on the shelf because they want to keep putting out their chemotherapy and cancer treatments because it makes more money to treat something than it does to cure it. And if they were to sell the cure, they'd have to, well, not have to, I'm using air quotes, they would, quote unquote, have to sell it for an astronomical amount to match what they would have made treating the disease. And therein lies the problem with Big Pharma. Hopefully someone comes in as a competitor and shakes that up, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
That will be blocked, and the light from the active regions won't be able to hit the Earth's atmosphere. So we can actually study the effects. We can actually study these effects. We'll hear a little bit more about this later in the program.
Amazing. Okay, so a third question is, one of our viewers on YouTube asked, how do eclipse glasses work?
Ooh, that's a great question.
So these things.
Yeah, we have eclipse glasses. Okay, so you see the lenses right here. This is a mylar film, and the coating on it blocks over 99% of the white light that comes here. Not only that, but it also blocks infrared and ultraviolet light, so it keeps your entire
Man, this looks
safe.
like the moon
So
from an
it's really
anime.
that coating that keeps us safe from the powerful sun's light.
I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, sure, the filter is safe, but I wonder if there was a way to use cameras to be able to record and show us like the actual image of the sun without too much filtering.
And we'll be answering more later today. So now let's head back to
For saying that, I remember what happened when I tried to get that face camera photo of the solar eclipse from 2017. People started getting little crescents in their phones being burned into their lenses.
Now coming up soon, James at our Eclipse desk will be plugging us into our very first views of annularity taking place in Eugene, Oregon. Now, Gina, as we anticipate this beginning first moment, can you walk us through what exactly is
An anime where people turn into a weapon.
Yeah,
that's Soul Eater. Yeah, that was Soul Eater.
In front of the sun. Now, for the annular eclipse, it's not going to completely block the sun, so we'll have that ring of fire that we get to see in the sky. And if you take a look at that live...
Man, imagine if they built a space station that's sole purpose is to sort of like catapult ships out into outside the atmosphere, or at least far enough away that they wouldn't have to burn so much fuel escaping the velocity or escaping the atmosphere.
Beautiful. And I mean,
Of course, I guess it wouldn't be a space station. I guess it would be like a Skylab or something.
will we feel anything?
Yeah,
Which they did have a Skylab for a while, so it's not exactly a new notion.
there will be environmental changes. So we'll
That
see
show was
some
amazing,
temperature
Captain.
drop, maybe
That was
even
actually a really good show.
humidity and wind as well. But
Hard to
also
believe I
the
watched that
weather
back in like
so
08.
check out, how it feels
Gosh, time
around
flies.
The
You were
birds
gonna
will
blink
nest,
and it'll be
go
20
back
years
to
from
their
this
trees,
moment.
the crickets
I'm not
will
even
now
kidding,
start
dude.
starting to chirp,
10
and it'll
years,
feel
20 years,
pretty
eventually
dramatic when this
becomes a
happens,
blink.
too.
Can't wait to feel that with you
Yeah,
today. And
it'll be
folks, I mean, it's not just us here on Earth plugged into today's action. Emily Ferfaro with NASA Communications had a chance to chat with two astronauts aboard the International Space Station to learn more about the sun from their unique perspective off our planet.
Jasmine, Satoshi, this is so exciting to be talking with
Pokemon
you.
X
This
and
the
Y
coolest
is
thing
10
that
years
I've
old.
ever done.
Wow.
As you know, all eyes are going to be on the sun on October 14th as we experience an annular solar eclipse. And so I'm wondering, have either of you ever seen a solar eclipse of any kind?
Emily, actually, coincidentally, my very first day at NASA was August 21st.
Man, I saw that guy's name Satoshi, and I thought of Bitcoin. I thought for a second that was the Satoshi Nakamoto account. Then I saw his last name and was disappointed.
And stare up with everyone, pretty much everyone else at NASA was outside in those moments, looking at the solar eclipse. So that's something I'll always remember.
Wow, oh my gosh, what an incredible...
It's got to be so disorienting being up there, not being able to tell up from down that easily. I'm sure they have things labeled, but that's got to be super jarring to just be kind of floating through your space station.
Impacts from the sun on the International Space Station.
Well, Emily, from the International Space Station, we have a really unique vantage point looking back at the Earth, but also there are several experiments actually mounted right outside here on the Japanese experiment facility outside of the GEM.
I also forgot about gravity too. Yeah, I saw that clip. The guy who came back from the space station after I think it was like a few months or a year or something. He comes back and he tries to like put his pen up in the air, and it drops, and he didn't even realize it. And then he goes and puts his cup in the air, and then it drops, and he realizes, oh wait, there's gravity again. Good times.
Wow, I am so glad.
Well, that reminds me. I think we're hitting a solar maximum again next year. I think next year.
Annular solar eclipse. This celestial event kickstarts NASA's Heliophysics Big Year, which is a global celebration of sun science and a year where we're inviting the public to do as many sun-related activities as possible. And so I'm wondering, what is your favorite thing about the sun?
Well, Emily, for me, I don't particularly like the dark, and I don't particularly like being cold. So I'm a big fan of the light and the warmth the sun brings. We wouldn't be the planet we are without the sun.
I'm sure it is weird to adjust to gravity when you come back. I mean, I've seen people who have a hard time standing up because their blood pressure even had adjusted to microgravity, and then they come back and they have a hard time standing up, or they start to faint.
That reminds me of something.
Apparently, that's like a normal thing.
Which is that the sun touches everything. With that, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today about the sun, and I hope that you both have a great view of the eclipse wherever you might be, and good luck with the rest of your mission.
Thanks so much, Emily. Have a good one.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you.
I mean, how cool is that? Can you imagine seeing the shadow of an eclipse on Earth from space? It would just have to be incredible. Now, folks, the crowd...
Well, yeah, Cap, I mean, it does sound really crappy, but I think it's just because your body is so good at adapting to the circumstances. I mean, we can adapt to a lot of things if we can survive it long enough.
James at our eclipse desk. James, how are things looking on your end?
Hate to hear, yeah, so we're still just a little bit away from the annularity here in Kerrville, Texas. Really cool to see the science going on in the International Space Station. Coincidentally, there's actually some really cool science going on just a little bit to the west of us in just a few moments in White Sands, New Mexico. And right now I'm actually joined by scientist Jamie Favors, who can walk us through exactly what we're about to see with this sounding rocket launch. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, James.
Yeah, so is this your first annular eclipse?
It is, yeah, and first time launching rockets into an eclipse too, so.
Amazing, and we're about to have the first of 3 launches. I understand we're kind of timing these launches out to specific times here, right?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. So we'll have 3 launches during the eclipse, about 35 minutes before the peak. That'll be this first one, right in the middle of the peak, and then 35 minutes after the peak. Studying that upper atmosphere, the ionosphere, kind of see what are those impacts from the sun that really change, important features of the upper atmosphere that impact things like radio communications, satellite operations. Yeah.
And we just had a launch yesterday in Cape Canaveral, Florida, of our Psyche mission. That's going out into deep space, but these rockets...
Here, let's switch to this for a little bit.
This is actually going to come back down afterwards.
That's right. So we're seeing first stage burnout here, about 6 seconds in. Blink out for a second, so the rocket's still moving along. There we see the rail, the pad that we just launched from. So as we're launching into space, we're going to start making measurements.
Okay, so this isn't the best, but for the moment it's fine. Hold on.
We're getting pretty close to the second stage lighting off at this point to take us all the way into space. So roughly that 1 minute mark is where we start to do a lot of the science. The payload separates from the rocket. We have some deployables we'll release from that payload out at that point. We'll start moving that payload around in space so that it's starting to make good measurements. We have these booms or arms that come off of the payload, start making different measurements there of like magnetic structures, electric structures in the upper atmosphere, as well as temperature and density. You know, one way to kind of think about this, what the shadow of the eclipse is doing in that upper atmosphere is it's creating these waves as all those temperature and density changes are occurring. So kind of think about it in the way of like a boat moving through the water.
Yeah.
We've all seen a boat move and you see the waves propagating out from it or moving away from the boat. That same thing is happening here with the eclipse and that shadow. So with those 3 rockets, we're launching one right before the boat moves through,
Yeah, exactly.
one right in the middle of the boat coming by, and then one right after the boat moves through, or the eclipse shadow.
Sweet. And so we are just now a couple minutes away from actually getting annularity here in Kerrville, Texas. Our first view is actually going to be up in the Pacific Northwest, up in Eugene, Oregon. They are going to be experiencing this starting at around 9:17 local time. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck for the next 2 launches.
Yeah, thank you so much, James.
Back to you, Tahira.
Wow, I mean, if the day wasn't exciting enough, now we've got a rocket launch in the mix.
It's so exciting.
It's
It was great.
incredible. And I mean, what a NASA broadcast, right? And so thank you, James and Jamie. Now, Gina, we have a lot of great questions rolling in from our viewers online. How do you feel about taking a few?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So our first question is from Entertainment on Facebook, who asks, how often do eclipses happen?
Great question. Well, thank you for that. So there are actually eclipse seasons. And so we can get eclipses about 2 to 3 times a year. You might expect them to happen every time there's a new moon, but that's not the case because the orbit of the moon is tilted by
Wait, my
about
search
5
bar has the
degrees,
eclipse
which
thing on
means
it?
Sometimes the shadow is a little too high and it doesn't hit Earth, and sometimes a little too low. So we need those eclipse seasons as that sweet spot.
I don't see it.
Nice. And so I actually have a really
Anywho,
great follow-up to that.
I just wanted to
Spectacular
do
Science
something
on
real quick.
Spectacular Science podcast on YouTube asks, how do you predict solar eclipses then?
Okay, well, it's actually pretty straightforward how to calculate the eclipses because we have a good understanding of the moon's orbit.
And I wish my Streamlabs remote worked a lot better. I would be able to do a lot more cool stuff with the stream.
Is connected. And so we kind of take the geometry and the inputs that we have, and we're able to very
And since those of you who are still here right now, probably people who've known me for a little while, this is more of like a dry run for me to kind of see what we can do to kind of turn up the watchability of the stream. So you'll probably be seeing some cool things coming up for the next whatever cosmic event happens next.
Total solar eclipses, it's very unique.
Oh, you mean the Windows taskbar? Yeah. So
It's about
what happens is that's actually, this is a display cap. Or I'm sorry, it's a window capture. It captures the whole window. I wanted it to capture just the video pane, but I haven't been able to figure that out unless I do full screen. That's kind of my main hiccup right now that I wasn't able to fix in time for the stream.
Will the International Space Station photobomb the eclipse? That would look very cool.
Yeah, and so we just got to hear from, the International Space Station, and the unique thing about our astronauts on board is that they have a totally different vantage point for studying the eclipses, and they get to actually view the shadow of the moon as it passes over the Earth, and there are experiments.
Oh, you meant like the actual desktop? Yeah, it has it on there too.
With NASA, we have all of
has like all about the eclipse.
Experiments that are taking place, and we try to take advantage of every perspective that we have.
Awesome. So we have a final question from Dante. This is going to be a quick one.
Okay.
But Dante on Facebook, who wants to know, will the moon block solar wind along its path during...
So yeah, for those who are just jumping in, this is actually not the NASA stream, but we do hang out in here, talk about space stuff or whatever you may have seen in terms of other cosmic events happening or what you'd like to see.
And it interacts with the Earth and other planets in our solar system. Now, the Earth's magnetic field actually blocks a majority of those particles from interacting with Earth. Some are able to get through and interact with our upper atmosphere, but for the sake of the eclipse, most of the particles will still kind of be able to be deflected around the Earth's magnetic field. There will be some that are able to interact with the moon, but it wouldn't have a huge impact on what we experience at Earth.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gina. And thank you to everybody sending in these questions online. We will get to some more of what you want to know by later on in the show. So keep sending those questions in using the hashtag AskNASA. Now let's check in with Joy and Michael to see what's new in Albuquerque. Joy, how's it going?
Thanks to her and Gina. So we're just under 30
Yeah, Kev, I mean,
annularity in
space can be
Albuquerque,
scary,
Mexico.
especially the idea that it's just like a silent, cold place for the most part. But I wonder if there are like creatures out there that we don't really know about, kind of like how in the sea there's all these creatures we haven't even seen or heard of yet.
See a crescent of sunlight peeking out.
There was this one thing that washed up on shore after Hurricane Harvey. It was this weird looking. People thought it was like an ancient whale or something, but there was no idea what it was except for this one picture that it was seen once, like a couple hundred years ago, and they finally dug it up and figured out, oh, it's that thing that they saw back in the 1800s and had to draw it.
That's fantastic.
So there's a lot of creatures we don't even know about here. I can only imagine there's something out in space like that. Like, watch us go to, I don't know, Venus or something, and there's like a kraken that's just underneath the methane oceans of Titan or something like that.
It's a great question. It's physics, simply. We heat up the air inside the balloon, and that makes it less dense, and then that makes it float. Now, what that means, though, is we can only control up and down. The way we fly and the way we navigate is by choosing different layers of air to fly in.
And I've heard that there is a box, the Albuquerque box. Could you explain what that means?
Certainly. It's one
I'm
of the
surprised
reasons
they're not showing the Oregon eclipse,
Sometimes what happens
or showing it from Oregon to
at
get
a
it there
higher
faster.
elevation, the wind is going to the north, and at the surface, it's going to the south. That's what we call the Albuquerque box. Sometimes the box works out such that you can fly to the south and go up, fly to the north, and then come down and fly back south and land right where you took off, which is an extraordinary and wonderful accomplishment. It's super fun when you can do that.
So for someone who's never been in a balloon, what is it like?
It's unlike any other form of flying. In a balloon, you're actually outside.
Well, wasn't there like a kraken or something in the methane oceans of Titan on Destiny? Remember they showed something like that.
It's just science, right? It's
This like giant sea creature in there.
applied physics, but it feels like magic. It's a ballunar eclipse.
Oh yeah!
I love that. It's very calm. There's no movement, no wind. When you're moving with the wind, so you're at equilibrium. It feels very calm and peaceful. At the same time, it's really exciting and it's intense. So it's this wonderful combination of intensity and mellow, serene, tranquil beauty, absorbing nature. You can never experience that.
She's friendly and a telepath.
Wow, that brings back.
I'll remember to be thinking the Baby Shark song the entire time I'm over there, if I ever get to go.
I rode it in just behind us, which is.
I wonder if that's like a way to stop telepathy from hitting you, or stop anyone from hearing your thoughts. If they can't hear your thoughts, just start singing the Baby Shark song in your head,
20 years ago, and it was fantastic.
and it just keeps going and going.
The most surprising thing is that when you're up there, you don't feel any wind against you because you're actually moving with the wind, so it feels completely calm.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, would you do it again? I found it terribly relaxing.
100%, yes. So it was actually also not that chilly, and we were only a few hundred feet off the ground as well.
Wow, that's amazing, because it's been chilly here all morning.
So as we learned earlier, NASA's scientific balloons fly much higher. They actually reach a part of our upper atmosphere where our International Space Station lives and where some of our satellites fly as well. So it's really important we learn about this upper region and how it could affect our lives on Earth. And NASA and NOAA are two agencies in the US that work together to help study this. And
I will be right back, chat.
can tell us more. So we have Dr. Elsia Talat from NOAA and Dr. Kelly Corrick from NASA. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Very excited to be here.
Very excited to be here. Thank you so much. So let's start off with the basics. Elsiad, what are those changes we see in that upper region?
Well, that's part of what we call space weather, which is the variable conditions on the sun, the Earth, and near Earth space due to solar and geomagnetic activity and storms. And that can affect human activity and our technological infrastructure.
Wow, fascinating. So, Kelly, how does space weather actually affect our life here on Earth?
Well, Elsie had alluded to the fact that it challenges our technology. So our power grids are sensitive to those currents that can be induced by this, as well as our satellites could also be impacted by these flares or the space weather. And we get some beautiful things too. We get the aurora out of it.
Have you ever seen the aurora?
I have. It was absolutely beautiful. I laid on the ground for hours in the snow watching it.
So talking about space weather and the activity in our upper atmosphere, how do NOAA and NASA work together to better understand those phenomena?
Let's start with, yeah.
NOAA is a go-to resource for space weather information. It watches the sun and the Earth 24/7, and it's the nation's official source of forecast warnings and alerts for space weather to help decision makers prevent and mitigate the effects of space weather here on Earth. And in order to do this, we need information, and NOAA works with NASA to design, develop, and deploy space weather operational satellites to safeguard our society.
And what's NASA's role?
So NASA is a partner with NOAA, and we focus on the science and make sure that we're understanding our star and can do better and better predictions. So scientists use models and the data from all of these satellites in order to better understand space weather.
And what are some of the biggest mysteries around space weather? What don't we know about it?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, let's start at the sun, right? That's the focus today. Even how to predict flares long term, or those large coronal mass ejections, those billions of tons of material that come off. We don't quite know how to predict them for a long term yet.
Well, I'm so glad we have two agencies on the case. Thank you both, Ilse and Kelly. Thank you both for joining us. So, did you know that space weather is also affected by solar eclipses? One citizen science project does experiments during the annular solar eclipse and the total solar eclipse. So, let's learn more about that project.
When the moon blocks the sun during a solar eclipse, there is a noticeable impact on Earth's upper atmosphere, known as the ionosphere. These changes can affect radio communications, including amateur radio, also known as ham radio.
Ham radio is a way you can talk to people all around the world. You set up a radio and antenna. You talk into the radio sends a signal up to the antenna sends the signal up to the sky. It bounces off of the electrified layer of the sky back down to Earth, where you can talk to the person on the other side.
During the 2023 annular eclipse and the 2024 total eclipse, the HAM-SCI Citizen Science Project is inviting ham radio operators to transmit radio signals. The goal is to have people make as many radio contacts as they can with operators in different locations during these celestial events. By recording how strong their radio signals are and how far they go, ham radio operators and scientists can learn about how the ionosphere changes during solar eclipses.
Sometimes you can talk around the world, and sometimes you can't. And that's all based on what the ionosphere is doing, what the sun is doing. When it works, when you are able to talk to these faraway places, I find that really magical.
To learn how you can participate, follow Do NASA Science on X and Facebook.
There are currently ham-SCI experiments happening right now across the country, and there'll be more during the total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024. If you want to learn how to participate, go to hamsci.org. So next, we're thrilled to be joined with the acting director of NASA's Heliophysics Division, Peg Luce. Peg, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
So, how are you feeling about the annular eclipse today?
Wow, it's happening, and we've been looking forward to this for so long. These are a rare celestial event that people can actually experience the effects of, so it's really exciting.
I'm so excited.
I am too.
So we've been chatting about the sun all morning, but can you tell us in detail what heliophysics is?
That is a good question. Many people ask. Heliophysics is actually a word that isn't yet in the dictionary, so we want to put it there. But helio is the sun. Physics, the science of matter and energy and how they interact. So we study the sun, how it works, how its energy flows out and affects all the planets, creates the solar system. And it's a very complex field and very exciting to study.
So we heard earlier that the sun touches everything. Can you describe a little bit about how the sun touches other NASA science disciplines?
Yes. So we like to say that heliophysics is really the science that interfaces and collaborates with all of the other areas of science that NASA studies. For instance, the sun is a star, and it's the only star that we can actually study up close. So for our astrophysics friends, we can learn in detail how our star looks, how it changes, how dynamic it is. So when they're using their tools like James Webb Space Telescope to study distant stars, they have up-close information from what we have learned. And then, of course, the sun's energy flows around all of the planets. It interacts with the Earth. space weather affects the atmosphere of the Earth, and so it really is a collaborative and exciting field of study.
I love that the sun touches everything at NASA. So how does NASA touch everything we have here on Earth?
So I like to take this opportunity to remind people about NASA science. So most people, when they think of NASA, they think of astronauts and human spaceflight, which is, of course, so exciting. But NASA science is rewriting the textbooks all the time. We have so many discoveries, and just so much. We have a Parker Solar Probe that is flying through the corona of
All right,
the
what a
sun.
miss.
We have the Voyagers that are outside the heliosphere. We have so much to learn that I could never even begin to talk about it. But I want to invite people to go to NASA at Home and check it out. You'll get just a little bit of more information about all that NASA science does.
It's an exciting time for NASA science.
Looks like we're just under 20 minutes away from seeing Annularity in Albuquerque.
Let's head back to the Eclipse desk in Kerrville, Texas, where they're about to start tracking the start of the annular eclipse across the United States.
Thank you, Joy, Michael, and Peg. And Joy, you are absolutely right. Folks, we are moments away from the start of today's annular eclipse in Oregon. Now, I know I'm excited. This will be the first time I've ever witnessed one of these events, and I hope you are too.
It'll be my first annular eclipse as well. But Tahira, I was lucky enough to see the 2017 total solar eclipse, and that experience was amazing. So I think we're in for a treat today.
So this is going to be a totally new experience for you.
It will be, yeah.
And so, Gina, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and see if we can pull up the telescope feed from our friends at Time and Date. Wow.
Look at that. San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. We've got a live view of San Diego, California right now.
Wait, am I able to actually just go straight to the telescope? Hold up. Hold up.
The sun, it's a crescent. Normally we refer to the moon as a crescent moon, but this
I did not realize I could do that.
Normally we see, you know, the sun in the sky, the moon in the sky. Occasionally they might be together, but to see them overlapping, it really reminds you that we're a part of this just entire system.
I know.
And so
interplaying together, right? And you can tell, I mean, from this view, you can really
And we're still going to be at least a few minutes away from Annularity on this one.
The moon and the sun seem to look like they're the same size, even though in reality they're not, right?
It's incredible. You know what? Right now, let's go ahead and check in with James at our Eclipse desk. James, what's the latest?
Yeah, hate to hear us. So we have officially kicked off Annularity here in the United States. If we look at our Eclipse Explorer, you can see that the area of effect of that annular eclipse has now hit Eugene, Oregon. They should have a phenomenal view there. And just a reminder to all of our viewers who are in that region, the Pacific Northwest, be sure to use your eclipse glasses as you're looking at the sun and the moon above. You should have a beautiful sight at this moment. That's going to last for just a couple minutes, so really take advantage of that big moment. You just saw that view in San Diego. Even if you're outside of this area, you might still have a beautiful view of a partial eclipse. And if I zoom in onto our little area of Annularity, you'll notice kind of a couple little bumps and things here, which you might initially think is because it's low resolution. Maybe it's a little bit, low res here, but the inverse is actually true. We actually have an incredible amount of data feeding into our Eclipse Explorer to generate the images and the predictions that you're seeing on your screen. This tool takes into account two
Hold on one
things.
second.
One is obviously
If I can just get the telescope footage, this would be a whole lot better for
valleys,
stream.
all kinds of little divots and things as that shadow moves across the land. But also, and really interestingly, it takes into account the shape of the moon. When you think of the moon, you might just think it's perfectly circular, but there are so many little objects like mountains and craters and all kinds of things dotting the surface that are all being fed into this prediction that you're seeing here that will then show you exactly what the shadow is going to look like. You won't really be able to see this difference from the ground, but if you're up in space looking down at this, you'll actually be able to see that area kind of ripple almost as it's moving across the terrain. So definitely I encourage you to check out this tool. It's a really phenomenal one that's really just using so much data to feed into this. And again, even if you're outside of this area, I encourage you to use our tool to kind of predict what you're going to see. So if I scroll all the way over to the East Coast and I zoom all the way out here, you can just see just how large this area of partial eclipse is. This kind of outer circle that you see here is areas that might be having a partial eclipse. So if I click on, for example, Philadelphia, I know quite a few people watching there. It looks like it might be a little bit rainy, but if the sky clears up for you, you'll have a peak coverage for your partial eclipse at around 1:21 local time. So still plenty of time for you to get your glasses ready in order, get your pinhole projectors created. You had that instructions earlier in the broadcast, and really just take advantage of this incredible celestial moment. These don't really happen very often. So it's a really unique experience to be able to witness this live from here in Kerrville, Texas. Just a few moments, we'll actually be able to have that view from right here. I can hear the crowd already kind of buzzing. People have all their glasses ready to go, already kind of looking up and observing that partial eclipse. You just saw that coverage in San Diego. This is really sweeping across such a big area of the United States, and it's going to continue to move closer and closer and closer to us. You can see already, since I've just started this conversation here, we've already moved away from Eugene, so they are no longer in annularity, and this is continuing to move into parts of Nevada. This will then continue to track further southeast to our friends out in Albuquerque at the Balloon Festival. They'll have a phenomenal view there, intermixed with the balloons and everything. It'll look awesome. And you're also seeing right now our live view of Kerrville, Texas. You can see we're already in pretty good coverage here with the partial eclipse. If I click on Kerrville on our interactive map, you can see...
Okay, so I did actually find just the observatory footage. That might be a little bit better. There we go. And this is from the Griffith Observatory. Oh, is it not capturing this? There we go. All right. That's more like what I wanted to do. So this is, I want to say, off in California. It's a little earlier in the arc here, but it's not that far behind. Or not that far ahead, I should say. So now we get a nice big view of the eclipse happening. So how many of y'all here have seen the images of those supposed alien bodies that were unveiled in Mexico? And do you believe those bodies were actually bodies for aliens? All right, Captain Sleep says I think they're fake, but at this point I don't know. I tend to concur with that. I just can't imagine teeny tiny little guys just all of a sudden landing and their bodies not being mangled by whatever crash may have landed them here. If they even did crash. I mean, think about it. If those bodies are still as pristine as those pictures would have allowed us to see, it would seem like they've been here for a long time and may have died of old age. Cap Sleep says, but they also they could be young for their species, and to us they are old. Well, I mean, either way, they could have, if that were the case, right? Like if they had come here a long time ago and that's why their bodies are in such good shape. Because if you crash coming into the atmosphere, you're traveling extremely fast, especially if you manage to come across the entire known universe to come over here. So it would make more sense that if you did come here and die, and the alien body supposedly is in such good shape that you can scan it and it's got like a definite form, then it would have had to have been here thousands of years, got here before any technology could have seen it coming, and then maybe it like got here and died of natural causes, or died because it didn't have what it needed on this planet, or because of old age. But you never know. I mean, a guy that little, he might actually just, not live very long, right? But I still think it's fake. There's just no way. It seems too much like the movies. If you look close enough, you can actually see just the little minute movements as it goes to annularity. MIB style? Don't they have to look like cockroaches to be the MIB style aliens? I'm thinking about the guys who are always making all kinds of weird jokes at the coffee pot in the break room, smoking up all the cigarettes. Or maybe it's something like the Flaxens from Invincible, right? Before Omni-Man steps in, like they come into our time stream and it's just so rapid for them, they just die of old age in like the few minutes that they're here. Oh, you were thinking that? I mean, you'd still have to explain how nobody saw them coming. No ship, no space junk, no waste of any kind being jettisoned out of the craft. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, they could have hidden that? I mean, in today's society, do you think that's even really possible? I mean, we've got people in the military who are leaking high-level military secrets on a Discord server. I mean, I think someone would have leaked it if that was the case. Someone would have been like, hey, by the way, we got aliens, so we've had them for years, or whatever. Although I guess that is kind of what happened. Because alien tech could be... Well, okay, so that's kind of the main... Well, not the main theory. It's one of the theories floating around, is that might be what's going on in Antarctica. That they may have some alien technology, and the world has kind of agreed to all collectively reverse engineer stuff from it. Actually, that theory doesn't scare me as much, Cap Sleep. What scares me more is the fact that we were told aliens were here and nobody cared. Like, literally no one cared at all. There were even jokes about how the people were encouraging the aliens to hurry up and kill us because life here sucks as it is. I just realized that's going to be a partial solar eclipse in this observatory. Let me see if I can find us just an observatory that's doing annular eclipses, or that's doing the annular eclipse today. I don't know. I just didn't want to like have to sit there and watch the whole NASA stream when it's really like my stream. Here, let's get rid of that. All right, because I'm not gone. I'm actually here. Oh shit.
Wow. This is amazing. You can hear people screaming in the background.
People are so excited. And take off your eclipse
There we go.
glasses, safely, of course, and make sure you look at the shadows around you. Look at how the environment has changed.
And we just cut straight to the end. Oh, is it not coming in? Hold up. Oh, I didn't change this one. Hold up. It's still there. Don't worry. I promise. Still there.
It's truly spectacular. It's one of those natural phenomenon that I just feel so lucky to be here at this place at this time.
There we go. Just in time. Just in time. I realized at the last second the other one was a partial eclipse, and I managed to find it. We haven't even technically hit the full annularity yet. That is insane. Man, that looks so cool. I hear if you're at just the right angle, there's little flares that you can kind of see in the moon, or little glints of the uneven surface of the moon that you can see around the ring. Man, this is darkening the sky out there too. Man, this almost looks better than a regular eclipse. I mean, somewhat. Like, this is a little bit more rare. At least that's what I've heard. I don't really know for sure if it is. Man, I wish I actually lived on the path of the eclipse. I'd only get like maybe 80-90% annularity up from where I'm at. Man, that is so cool. So I wonder what they're gonna like launch toward the moon. It's like some kind of a probe or something. I forget what they're gonna do, but it's meant to like study the effects of an annular eclipse or effects of the moon on it. Something to that degree. Man, that's so cool. Now, this is Albuquerque, so they'll probably be able to show us another one from Kerrville pretty soon. Actually, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go see if I can walk outside and watch just for like a few more seconds of this. See if I can catch how much I can catch in real life. Be right back. All right, I got to see it, and man, that was pretty cool. Not as cool as the view we got to see here, but it's pretty cool. All right, mic is registering. Good. Yeah, it really is, man. Like I'm glad I had the glasses. But man, I looked outside and I started noticing it was like kind of dark. So I knew that we were at least able to look at it. But it looked really cool to see it up close. Or not up close. But it looked cool to see it in person. And for those who are wondering, I wore my glasses. Don't worry. My safety glasses. So I didn't go blind. That reminds me, we're actually a few minutes behind. I wonder if you could put the filter in front of your phone camera and not damage the phone camera as you film it. Like the Soul Eater moon. It's starting to look like the Bleach moon, actually. The one from Wekamundo. Where it's like almost a complete circle. That's the annularity one. Man, I see some kids in that picture that are not wearing glasses and are looking right up. Yep, Darwin Awards. Oh, she's trying it. She's trying the thing with the phone camera I was just talking about. I don't know if it works. Yeah, we do need to know. There are, I think there are actual filters you can get for the cameras that'll do that. I don't know where you find them, but I've heard that they exist. I know they have them for telescopes. So if you want to use like a observatory telescope and then try to just like screenshot that or something, you could probably do that. Oh, there we go. Odessa actually shows the little flares off the sides. Look at that. Because the moon is dimming enough of the center, you can actually see the little red flares on it. If you're on mobile, you can actually like zoom in on that bottom left image. It actually shows the flares coming off. So that would be this one here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's over here. Okay, they went and switched it. Wow, look at those flares. I wish it had kept it on the other view. Oh, the Infinite Tsukuyomi? Man, that'd be kind of cool. Although I think we get not the exact thing, but we get a definitely a red moon towards the end of days. So look forward to that, I guess. Looks like Kerrville's about to hit annularity. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's the bleach moon. Yeah, I know, right? That's so cool. All right, I'm gonna go outside and check this out real quick. Be right back. I'm gonna leave this on though. Don't worry. Oh man, that was so cool to look at. Now it looks like I didn't actually have to miss perfect center on this angularity either. If you guys can hear me put a 1 in the chat, I can't actually look at my my Streamlabs right now unless I get out of full screen. I don't want to do that. All right, cool. You guys can hear me. Oh, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can actually kind of see some of the little bits of flares coming off the edges. Man, I wish they'd cut back to just the observatory screen and not have this guy here in the corner yapping. Yeah, it kind of does, unfortunately. But at least we get to see it. Like, the view I had outside was still pretty good, but it wasn't, like, the best view. Like, it very clearly was, like, somewhere near 90% visibility, maybe, like, 80, 85. But this here, we're actually looking at it 100%. Are we still on the... Yeah, we are. Oh, it appears I did actually miss perfect center, but I could just rewind it. Yeah, I missed it by a little bit. But that's all right. Yeah, it is really cool. It was cool to like go out and see it too. Like I've never actually seen like the darkened sky here where I live. It's always been like a little dimmer, but it's never been like this dark. So I went out. I had to go outside and at least go look at it for like, a little bit. But it's not as good as the people who the view people in Kerrville got. They got some of the best views. Actually, we can go back to about here. And we can actually see just about perfect annularity. See, perfect to be about right here. That's roughly perfect. Gosh, that looks so good. Oh yeah, you notice on that bottom part of your screen, it's right as the edge of the moon starts to meet up with the edge of the sun. You start to see those little reflections and flares start to come off. That's so cool, man. Oh, there it is. Bottom left of the moon, you're starting to really see it. It's just ever so briefly as it crosses. I'll tell you what, man, it's stuff like this that always got me super interested in science. All right, let's go to wherever they're at right now. Oh, so they're showing like the whole, like both sides of this. Okay. It was good to see you too, Cap. Hopefully I'll see you again soon, man. We'll be doing more space stuff on this channel, so if you ever get interested in space stuff, just see what we got going on over here, man. You have a good one. I'll see you later, man. And here, for those who missed it, let's just go back to right around here. I know kind of the hardest part is making sure you're actually like on when it happens, but for those who are just jumping in trying to see if they can catch it, here's the actual annularity occurring. Oh, I didn't see this part before. You can actually see the other edge as it's coming in. Like, you actually see the little bits of flares. And there was a flare actually on our side of the moon that was visible. May have been just from reflections, but man, that is so cool. So this is the curval annularity. This actually isn't live anymore. I went back because I know a lot of people kind of jump in and out. So those of you who are just jumping back in, you guys can see it like it's happening right now. The skies are still dark out here in Texas. It's kind of cool. It's rare to see that because we rarely ever get more than like 70% eclipses out here when it comes to solar eclipse. Although the next one should be April of next year. I'm looking forward to that one. Already got my glasses, as long as there's not like an expiration on glasses. I'll be all set. Oh, here comes that bottom edge again. You get to see all the little flares coming off and reflecting on the uneven surface of the moon. All right, let's see what they're up to now. I wonder if they're just done. Yeah, so we're seeing the other side. I don't know what they call it when it's the other side of annularity, but it's starting to wane out. Well, I find that less interesting than just going back to annularity. Let's just go back to that. I know some of y'all are dipping in and out because you're trying to see the actual eclipse. Let's go ahead and give it to you. All right, let's see where they're at right now. So it looks like it's about maybe almost halfway the other way. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. We may or may not be on for the next one. Next clip should be April 8th or April 3rd, 2024. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're interested in space content, which I'm sure you are if you're here, check into our videos. We're going to have more to come. All right, y'all have a good one.